You just had to listen to me. Those words cut through the static like a knife, loaded with frustration, disbelief, and something even heavier, loss of trust. They weren't shouted in a fit of rage by a rookie still learning the ropes. No, they came from Charles Leclerc, Ferrari's golden hope, a driver who had just delivered a flawless pole position at the Hungarian Grand Prix. This was supposed to be his moment, the perfect platform to turn Ferrari's season around. Yet within hours, that hope was ripped away, collapsing in real time for millions to witness. And Leclerc wasn't the only one trapped in the storm. Seven-time world champion Lewis Hamilton, a man who spent over a decade at the very top of Formula One, found himself in the same sinking ship. For fans who followed the sport through the glory days of Michael Schumacher, when Ferrari was feared and respected across the paddock, the idea of its two superstar drivers openly questioning the team's competence is almost unthinkable. This isn't just a bad race or an unlucky Sunday afternoon. This is a Formula One bombshell, a shocking leak that exposes cracks deep inside the Scuderia's walls. What we're witnessing is more than a strategy gone wrong. It's the kind of team implosion that can trigger long-term damage, the kind of Ferrari crisis that shakes not just the drivers, but the entire foundation of the most iconic name in motorsport. And the most stunning part, it's all unfolding over leaked radio messages, echoing across the world for every fan, critic and rival to hear. The Hungarian Grand Prix was never meant to be just another race on the calendar. For Ferrari, it was billed as the Great Reset, the turning point after a chaotic first half of the season that had been plagued by strategic blunders, disappointing upgrades, and growing tension behind the scenes in Maranello. Everything leading up to Budapest felt like a chance to wipe the slate clean, to prove that the mistakes of earlier rounds were lessons learned, not habits repeated, and for a moment, it looked like that dream might come true. Charles Leclerc delivered a qualifying lap that stunned the paddock, stealing pole position from the likes of Max Verstappen, Lando Norris, and George Russell. It wasn't just fast, it was flawless. The kind of lap that reminds everyone why he's considered one of the most naturally gifted drivers of his generation. For the Tifosi, Ferrari's loyal and passionate fans, it was a shot of pure adrenaline. They could feel the spark of Ferrari redemption, the belief that maybe, just maybe, this would be the weekend that turned everything around. The scarlet red car was back at the very front, the team's #1 driver in prime position to take control of the Hungarian Grand Prix. But in Formula One, nothing is ever certain, and hope can disappear faster than a pit stop gone wrong. When the lights went out in Budapest, Leclerc got away clean and held his ground. But the pressure was immediate. The McLarens were breathing down his neck, the Red Bulls were already thinking 2 steps ahead, and every lap felt tighter than the one before. In moments like this, the race isn't just about speed, it's about reacting to threats before they become problems. But Ferrari didn't react. While rival teams moved early to protect their positions and trigger the undercut, Ferrari hesitated, leaving Leclerc out on worn tyres for far too long. Lap after lap, his grip started to fade, and the gap he'd fought to build was gone in an instant. Over the radio, his frustration broke through. "We're going to lose this race with these things," he warned, his voice edged with the certainty of someone who knew exactly what was about to happen. But the message went unanswered. It was a race-defining mistake, an act of inaction that opened the door for rivals to strike. And just like that, the momentum from pole position began to slip away, replaced by the creeping realization that the race was turning against him. It all came to a head not long after, when Leclerc's voice cut through the radio again, this time sharper, heavier, and carrying the weight of something much deeper than a single bad call. "You just had to listen to me." It wasn't shouted in anger. It was the sound of a driver who had done everything right all weekend, only to watch it fall apart because the people he trusted most didn't act when it mattered. This wasn't a split-second flash of temper. It was years of heartbreak, missed opportunities, and strategy calls gone wrong boiling over in one moment. From a flawless qualifying lap and leading the pack at lights out, to sliding back to P4, the fall wasn't just about losing positions on the track, it was about losing faith in the team's judgment. That radio fury was more than just a complaint. It was the public unravelling of trust between a driver and his pit wall. For a competitor like Leclerc, who has fought tooth and nail to put Ferrari in winning positions, it felt like a betrayal. And once that trust collapses, it's almost impossible to rebuild. While Leclerc's frustration was boiling over at the front, Hamilton was fighting a very different but equally crushing battle further back. Starting from P12, he knew the only way to make real progress was with a bold strategy, an early stop, a daring tyre choice, something to shake up the order. But that call never came. Instead, lap after lap, he found himself stuck in a train of cars, watching opportunities slip away with every turn of the wheel. Over the radio, his voice was calm but heavy with resignation. "Bit of a sitting duck behind these guys," he said, not in anger, but in the quiet tone of a champion who's been left to fight with no real weapons. For a driver who has built a career on precision, aggression, and the relentless pursuit of the front, this kind of midfield misery was a bitter pill to swallow. The silence from Ferrari's side of the garage was deafening. There were no bold moves, no risk-taking, no sense of urgency, just a 7-time world champion slowly watching the race drift away, as if he'd been forgotten altogether. What made all of this even more explosive was that the world didn't just see the result on the timing screens, they heard it. The leaked F1 audio from inside the Ferrari garage stripped away every layer of PR polish and left nothing but raw, unfiltered frustration. There was no carefully chosen language, no measured tones to protect the team's image. Instead, you could hear the cracks in the drivers' voices, the emotion pushing past the usual coded strategy talk. Leclerc's words carried the sting of betrayal, Hamilton's the quiet weight of defeat, and together they painted a picture of a team in deep trouble. For fans, this wasn't the usual safe, watered-down radio feed they get during broadcasts. This was the uncensored Ferrari radio, a rare and uncomfortable glimpse into Formula One's raw emotions when the stakes are sky high and trust is falling apart. The leak didn't just make headlines, it lit up social media, fueled outrage, and cemented the growing belief that Ferrari's problems run far deeper than just one bad race. Looking back at the race, the way Ferrari lost Hungary wasn't a mystery. It was a slow, painful unravelling caused by hesitation at every critical moment. On a track like the Hungaroring, where overtaking is notoriously difficult, the winning playbook is simple: protect track position, cover the undercut, and force your rivals to react. But Ferrari did the opposite. Their pit wall hesitated, making late calls that left their drivers exposed. Tyre choices were conservative, almost timid, and every strategic move seemed to come one lap too late. While McLaren and Red Bull executed their plans with precision, Ferrari's reactive strategy left them constantly on the back foot. The advantage Leclerc had worked so hard to build vanished, and Hamilton's race never even had the chance to come alive. What should have been a fight for victory turned into a Hungarian GP tactical disaster. Instead of unleashing the full potential of two world-class drivers, Ferrari's strategy breakdown effectively neutralised them both, handing their rivals an open invitation to take control of the race. The real danger for Ferrari isn't just that they lost the Hungarian Grand Prix, it's that this race exposed a pattern that's been building for years. Botched strategy calls, mechanical failures at the worst moments, and golden opportunities slipping through their fingers have all left scars. For Charles Leclerc, the frustration has reached the point where he's openly questioning whether the team is even sticking to the pre-race plans they agree on. For Lewis Hamilton, the doubt is different but just as dangerous. He's starting to wonder if Ferrari can actually give him the platform to chase greatness again, or if this is just another chapter in a long story of missed chances. In Formula One, you can recover from a slow car or a bad pit stop, but when a team loses the trust of its drivers, that's the deadliest failure of all. Without that bond, every call is second-guessed, every instruction feels like a gamble, and every race becomes a test of faith rather than a fight for victory. Right now, Ferrari isn't just battling their rivals on track, they're fighting to convince their own drivers that they still know how to win. The fallout from Hungary could be just as dramatic as the race itself. Behind closed doors, it's hard to imagine Leclerc and Hamilton staying silent after what happened. Both may start demanding more control over strategy calls, refusing to simply follow instructions they no longer trust. Hamilton, still new to the Ferrari project, might already be rethinking his long-term future with the team if he believes the same old problems will keep repeating. And for the pit wall, the pressure is building fast. There's already talk among fans and pundits about whether a reshuffle of key decision-makers needs to happen before the summer break to stop this slide. One thing is certain, something's got to give. Ferrari can't afford to keep making the same mistakes without consequences. The team is standing at a crossroads. Either they face the hard truths, make bold changes, and win back their drivers' faith, or they risk watching two of the most talented names in Formula One drift further away from believing in the red. Hungary was supposed to be Ferrari's great reset, the weekend that proved they could still fight at the very top. Instead, it has become the spark for what could be a full-blown revolution inside Maranello. This isn't just another bad race, it's a Formula One crisis, a breaking point where the team's reputation, unity, and future are all on the line. The trust between Ferrari and its star drivers is hanging by a thread. And once that snaps, there's no easy way back. From here on, the world will be watching every leaked radio, every tense exchange, every pit wall decision, looking for signs of either a comeback or a collapse. So now, the big questions are hanging in the air. Should Ferrari make the bold move and replace their strategy team before the summer break? And after what we've just seen, can Leclerc and Hamilton ever truly trust the pit wall again? I want to hear what you think, so drop your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed diving into this story, make sure to like the video and subscribe so you don't miss the next big twist in this Formula One season.